It's prime time in Philadelphia, and the 49ers are here for Monday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers have won 5 Super Bowl championships. Jerry Rice has helped deliver 3 of those titles to San Francisco. But the great receiver was hurt in this season's first game and has not been available to Steve Young in recent games. Tonight, the 49ers invade Philadelphia with other men to catch Young's throws. Owens, Stokes, Owazeke. These are the San Francisco receivers now, yet this team continues to win. Last week's victory over Dallas has put the 49ers on track for another run deep into the playoffs. Steve Young has been there before. He knows what it takes.
Until you win the championship, we have to continue throughout the season, especially as we play teams in the upper echelon right now, and continue to play good football. But, you know, all indications are we're playing well, and we'll continue to do that. And now it's the old thing. I mean, until you do it, you can only talk about it, so let's go do it.
The streets of Philadelphia will be rumbling tonight when the San Francisco 49ers face the Philadelphia Eagles on ABC's Monday Night Football.
That's the way to get after that quarterback.
Here we go.
Yeah. We got it. We got it.
We got to know it. Bring on the game.
Like a freight train moving at the speed of light. Like a knockout punch in a title fight. Last year the Niners knocked Philly out of the race. The Eagles want to shove it back in their face. Whoa. You better be ready. You better get it right. The bet is filled with payback tonight. Hit it. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for the football? A Monday night party. We got Frank and Al and Dan. They're gonna get it started. Chris and Leonard all set. The crowd is fine. All my rowdy friends are here on Monday night.
Bring on the game.
Now.
The city of Philadelphia on a cool November evening. The temperature expected to drop into the 30s. A perfect night for football. Veterans Stadium sold out, of course. The San Francisco 49ers are in town to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Dierdorf. A terrific matchup for you tonight. The Eagles and the 49ers. The Eagles come in tonight a troubled football team. They are 4-5, and they desperately need a win to turn it around. But it's not going to be easy going against the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers off to a great start. They lost their opening game of the season. They've won 8 straight, Al, and arguably they are playing better defensively than they are offensively, and they're playing pretty good on offense.
And it's ironic, too, Frank. You think of the great names, anyway, Montana and Clark and Craig and Young and Rice. They're all on the offensive side of the ball. But after that opening disaster in Tampa, the defensive veterans went to the rookie coach, Steve Mariucci, and said, we will step it up. And in a word, their defense has been awesome. They lead the league in several defensive categories. They've not allowed a rushing touchdown this season, and they've allowed the fewest points in the league. Meanwhile, offensively, very quietly, Steve Young has the #1 pass rating in the National Football League, and the 49ers have their best running game in years, led by Garrison Hurst, who's on his way to a 1,000-yard season. If the Niners win tonight and go home and beat Carolina next week, they will have clinched the NFC West with an astonishing 5 weeks to go in the 1997 season, and their goal will become a 6th Super Bowl championship. The Eagles, meanwhile, Dan, a little less lofty goal. How about a win?
Really, Al, and if the Bee Gees were here, they'd be singing staying alive, because that's all Ray Rhodes and the Eagles would like to do tonight. And as Frank mentioned, a win, they go to 5-5. That's only 1 game out of first place in the NFC East, plus they'd have the momentum of beating the mighty 49ers. It's not going to be easy to do. The San Francisco 49ers keep the football. They have almost a 7-minute advantage in time of possession, and that means poor field position for the Eagles, which has been an ongoing problem for them. Listen to this. The Eagles have started in the opposition's territory 5 times in the 9 games they've played so far. Their opponents have started in their territory 24 times. It's a miracle they're at 4-5. Their big play people on offense are Ricky Waters. They've got to get him the ball and hope that he makes the big play. The same with Irving Fryer. And somehow they have to keep the 49ers from running the football. A perfect night at the vet. The kickoff right after this.
49ers with a perfect home record. I'm Lynn Swan. Welcome to the sideline. Ray, the emotional challenge. What did you present to your football team before they came out?
Well, I think all our players realize our backs up against the wall. If we want to get in the playoff hunt, this is a big game for our football team. We got to go out and win it. And they understand that. We had a good discussion when we came out for the game, and they know we got to have this one.
Coach, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. A very pleasant evening. Cool, crisp, clear. 49ers to kick off. Tommy Thompson descended down toward Deuce Staley. Staley, a rookie out of South Carolina, and a guy who someday could be either their feature running back or at worst a third down back. And Joe Wessel, who is under siege here in Philadelphia because the Eagles special teams have been, in a word, terrible. Thompson's kick is taken in at the 11-yard line by Deuce Staley. Out past the 20 and up to the 29-yard line, and the marker is down. Frankie Smith makes the tackle, and Wessel into it immediately.
Well, the Eagles had 15 penalties last week against Arizona, and if this is against them, which it is, this couldn't be a worse start.
And we're against their special teams, and they pick up where they left off in Arizona.
Illegal block in the back, above the waist, number 57 on the return team. Half the distance to the ball. First down.
That's James Darling. So back they go, and Ty Detmer, who won the Heisman Trophy at Brigham Young and guided this team into the playoffs last season after a Rodney Peete injury, starts this drive from the 19-yard line. Ricky Waters is the tailback in this set, and Detmer to throw on first down, and a wobbly pass is incomplete up to the 25-yard line. It'll be second down and 10, intended for Irving Fryer. Now you've got Waters in the backfield. The fullback is Kevin Turner. The veteran Fryer with Michael Timpson to the wideouts, and Jimmy Johnson starts at tight end. Up front, Jermaine Mayberry. Bubba Miller makes his first start for the injured Joe Panos. Steve Everett, who's been in the news, we'll talk about that later at center. Ian Beckles at right guard, and Barrett Brooks at right tackle. Second down and 10 from the 19-yard line. Fryer in the slot to the left, with Waters and Turner in the backfield, and Detmer to throw again, and this time the pass is incomplete. So two incompletions. Michael Timpson was the intended receiver. Gary Plummer now coming out on third down and 10 as we take a look at the base defense for the Niners. Kevin Green up front because Roy Barker's hurt. Junior Bryant for the injured Bryant Young, then Stubblefield and Dolman complete the line. Woodall, Plummer, and Ken Norton Jr. are the linebackers, and in the secondary, Woodson, Darnell Walker for the injured Marquez Pope, and Tim McDonald and Merton Hanks at safeties. Again, defensively, the Niners have been sensational this year. Third down and 10 from the 19-yard line. Detmer to throw again. And that pass is caught up at the 32-yard line by Freddie Solomon. So after two incompletions, they pick up a first down.
7 defensive backs in on that, and a perfect shot by Detmer to Solomon. 3 49ers were there, but Detmer was able to get it in there. He had plenty of time. Kevin Green coming from a down position. Dan, he doesn't really like that.
No, he'd rather stay in a two-point position, and he's going to have to stay in the two-point stance, and you see a little late shot there by Barker.
First running play. Ricky Waters against his ex-teammates fumbles the ball. It is picked up by Merton Hanks, and Merton Hanks is into the end zone. Lee Woodall created the fumble, and Hanks runs it in.
Well, as competitive and as good a runner as Ricky Waters is, fumbles have plagued his career. He struggles and he fights and he battles always for that extra yards and always for that extra yard, and so many running backs are afflicted with the fumble when they are struggling and trying so hard. That's what Ricky does.
And then when the ball comes loose, I assume that not many of the Eagles saw it because there's a whole lot of standing around while the 49ers pick the ball up and go with it. Look at all the Eagles just standing there. Kevin Turner's just looking at Merton Hanks as he picks up the football. It's like everyone in a green jersey was mesmerized by the fact that the ball came loose.
Old veteran Plummer, the man that knocked it out of there.
Gary Anderson for the point after. Plummer had him, and then Woodall came from behind and dislodged the football with Hanks running it in. So a disaster start for the Eagles. 1:07 into the game. 7-0 49ers.
Who put his hat right on the elbow of Ricky Waters, right there, and just jarred his arm and knocked that ball loose. An excellent job of pursuit and hitting by Woodall.
Now the second Tommy Thompson kickoff, and this is Deuce Staley and the rookie.
And another flag.
With a flag down. It was a good run back pending the flag. Last week, 15 penalties against the Eagles in the Arizona game, 7 of them on special teams.
And here's number 2 in this very young football game. Joe Wessel said, hey,
holding number 34 on the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Oh, not again. That's Kevin Turner,
who had 3 of the penalties last week on extra points and field goals. And of course, Kevin Turner just caught in the position of standing there with the football on the ground. I guess he didn't see it. Now watch this. Here's the wide look. There's the ball on the ground. All the Eagles just standing there. Didn't see it, I guess, but Merton Hanks did.
Danny,
so it's double whammy for the Eagles, Frank.
Kept his balance with the left hand. He had a broken bone in that left hand from a week ago against Dallas. Super effort.
Now from the 25-yard line, the fake to Waters and the pass. Beautifully conceived play to Irving Fryer. And he's across the 50 and taken down at the 49 or 45 by Rod Woodson.
Oh, and it was perfect. It was perfect for the Eagles because the 49ers were in man coverage. And Timpson went downfield and took Woodson with him, who had his back to the play because he's in man coverage. A zone, this is a dead play, man-to-man, it's big coverage.
You can see it right here in the man-for-man coverage. Woodson has his back to Fryer, and now he realizes the completion.
It's that zone, Frank, that's a dead play.
29-yard gain. 4 wideouts in this set from the 46-yard line, and they'll keep it on the ground, and they give it to Ricky Waters, and he goes to the 41. Ricky has now played almost as many games as an Eagle as he did as a 49er. At San Francisco, good on the field, but off the field, I mean, he comes with a lot of baggage. And then the Eagles signed him, and Ricky wanted the ball a lot more, and he gets it a lot more here. And there it is as you look at his numbers. He's played 1 less game here than he did in San Francisco.
Much more of the featured running back here than he was in San Francisco. That West Coast, pure West Coast offense didn't give him that many carries when he was with the 49ers.
Second down and 4. Detmer changing at the line. Second and 4, the pass a little underthrown, and Freddie Solomon couldn't hold on at knee level. It'll be third down. Darnell Walker covering on the play. Third down and 4.
Well, Detmer had to spin out of there. There's Bryant Young on the sidelines. His partner, Dana Stubblefield, was right in Detmer's face. That man right there is the best defensive tackle in the game of football.
This might be the second best, Dan, too. Dana Stubblefield having a great year. Number 94, sacks in 6 consecutive games. Total of 9 coming into tonight. Remarkable year for Stubblefield.
That's Roy Parker, their defensive end, who's sitting this game out. He's hopeful to come back next week. So a lot of substitutes up front for the Niners.
And timeout with 12:27 left in the first. San Francisco leading 7-0. Over the Jets. Meanwhile, after the 49ers took the timeout on defense, it's third down and 4, and it is knocked back. Incomplete. Dana Stubblefield is the guy, along with Junior Bryant, with their arms up, knocking it back. Bryant Young looks on from the sidelines, and the Niners have forced the Eagles to punt.
Stubblefield only 6'2", but Detmer's only 6 feet. And you got to time that jump, in which he timed it beautifully.
You saw Bryant there on the left of your screen, had his right arm up in the air. Stubblefield was hidden in front. He had his left up there.
I think it hit Stubblefield in the helmet.
Now Tom Hutton's a punt, and Rod Woodson was back to receive because Ihani Uwezike, who normally runs punts back with a bruised knee, is inactive tonight. And they pin the 49ers at the 9 with 12-12 to go in the quarter. And San Francisco leading 7-0. 49er offense comes on the field for the first time. in a brilliant position because the defense has given them a 7-0 lead. Steve Young looking for his 6th passing title. Throwing and running a little bit less because their ground game has been so good, thanks mainly to that man, Garrison Hurst, who picks up 2 up to the 11-yard line. Now let's take a look at the rest of that offense. A little skirmish breaks out. Kevin Gogan gets him to the middle of it. The guard, Hurst, with William Floyd out of the backfield. In the absence of Jerry Rice, J.J. Stokes, and Terrell Owens have emerged, and Brent Jones back from a hairline fracture in his leg. And up front, Derek Deese, Ray Brown, Chris Dolman, Kevin Gogan, and Kurt Scrappard. This offensive line, and they've had a lot of different combinations over the last couple of years, has really blended beautifully over the past month. It is 2nd down and 8 as Young throws, and a catch is made by the statuesque J.J. Stokes up at the 25-yard line. 1st down. Charles Dimry with the coverage.
It's going to be one of the big problems for Philadelphia. These are big outside receivers. Stokes is 6'4", as you mentioned, Al. The other one, Terrell Owens, 6'3". Dimry is 6 feet. And the biggest cornerback for the Eagles is not on the field tonight, Bobby Taylor. He's on the injured reserve. They have small cornerbacks, and these guys can work him over.
It's a question whether he had both feet in or not on that play, but it stands, obviously, as Garrison Hurst picks up a hard yard, and a trio of Eagles knocks him back.
Let's go back and take a look at J.J. Stokes working the sidelines. There's possession. There's the right in. And certainly the left did not come down in bounds.
I think that they are going to give that to him on the basis that Dimry had his hand on him and pushing him.
That would have to be a signal from the official working the sideline that he was pushed out of bounds. I didn't see it.
Borderline call. 2nd down 9 from the 21-yard line. And Young, his first pass of the night, if he gets it off and he just has to dump it away.
Did he get out of the pocket? No, I don't think he did. You got to get outside the tackle before you can do that.
But there is a flag, and it will be grounding. The referee tonight is Bill Carollo. It's the first time he's been a ref on a Monday night game. First-year referee.
You must get outside the tackles.
Intentional grounding. Number 8 on the offense. That penalty also includes loss of down at the spot of the pass. 3rd down.
Well, that's an expensive foul, and Steve Young didn't argue it, so I'm sure he was not outside.
Watch Steve. Now he's drifting to his right, and he only takes about 1.5 steps before he unloads the football. It's in there to protect the quarterback so he doesn't have to take a hit, but only if he's outside the perimeter of his tackles, headed towards the sideline. That was nice work that time by a new referee.
Marty Mornhinweg, the new offensive coordinator on the right, John Marshall on the left, the defensive coordinator. It's 3rd down and 23. And Young back to pass, and he hits Terry Kirby over the middle, and Kirby is out past the 15, up to the 20-yard line, well short of the 1st down. The ball is loose at the 21-yard line. And the 49ers maintain possession.
Boy, not before some Eagles had a real shot at it.
And Kirby himself is able to maintain possession. Ray Rhodes getting his defense off the field, and the special teams unit in right now for the punt.
Terry Kirby has already lost the ball. Look at it right behind Thomas. It rolls right under
an Eagle, and William Thomas and Kirby pulled it out.
And now Tommy Thompson, who kicks off barefoot, but puts the shoe on to punt. Close one. It's a short kick. Coming toward the near sideline, takes a pretty good 49er hop, and they'll mark it out of bounds at the 39-yard line. That's where the Eagles will have it. With 9:34 left in the quarter, San Francisco 7, Philadelphia nothing. Next Monday night we'll be in Miami for the Bills against the Dolphins. Tonight the Eagles and the 49ers. 9:34 left in the opening period. 7-0 San Francisco. And the Eagles start this drive from the 39-yard line. Ricky Waters, and that's Junior Bryant in place of Bryant Young, who wraps him up. 2nd down and 10. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Jeep, makers of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Cherokee and Wrangler. Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up. And Budweiser, this Bud's for you. Second down 9 now from the 40-yard line. Short drop by Detmer, and the pass is caught at the 48-yard line. That's the veteran Irving Fryer pulling it in his 14th season, a little short of the first down. 3rd and 1. The San Francisco defense, take a look at that. They are number 1 in 5 important categories and number 2 in 2 others. And as we said at the very top, points per game is perhaps the most important figure, allowing just 12 points per game. And that's basically the reason they're 8-1 coming in. 3rd and 1 from the 48. Waters has the first down as he gets to the 50-yard line. He'll move the chains. Knocked back by Gary Plummer.
One of the reasons, Al, for those defensive statistics is this newfound running game of the 49ers that we've already documented. They have almost a 7-minute advantage in time of possession. That keeps your defense off the field an awful lot. It keeps your defense fresh. So it is that defensive ranking, while it's attributed to the members of the defensive unit, everybody on the 49er roster ranking.
From the 50 on first down. Detmer under pressure and picks up 5 yards after pump faking, getting to the 45-yard line where Ken Norton finally stops him. Detmer, the 1990 Heisman Trophy winner as a junior at Brigham Young.
It was Ray Rhodes who was with the Green Bay Packers when they drafted Detmer. Then Ray Rhodes brought him in 2 years ago. That time Woodson was all over Fryer with good coverage, and Detmer had to pull it down and just run with the football.
Detmer and Steve Young, 2 BYU Cougars facing each other tonight. It's 2nd down and 4.
They're two most prolific passers.
Yeah. And Charlie Garner to the 40-yard line. 2 most prolific passers in a school, of course, that's turned out to some beauties at that position, going back to Jim McMahon.
And there was a lot of talk that the 49ers wanted Detmer. And they had talked to the Eagles about bringing Detmer to the 49ers this past year.
You know, McMahon was a beauty in many ways.
Yes, he was. The capital B. 3rd and 1. Detmer started the season as their #1 quarterback. Rodney Peete has started the last 3 games, and now it's tie again. It's a very unsettled quarterback situation all season long here. Detmer, great play fake, and then throws too short. Rod Woodson breaks it up. Good play fake. Irving Fryer, the intended receiver, but the pass underthrown. And the crowd naturally wants the Eagles to go for it on 4th and 1.
Well, Rod Woodson was there and also help from Darrell Walker. But that ball, had it been laid up, could have been 6 points. Go for it, but a great play by Woodson.
Yep. But again, against the #1 rushing defense in the league.
4th and 1 from the 40. Ricky Waters keeps his legs moving. He is very close. As we widen out, you can see exactly where the marker is.
49er defense turned back Sherman Lewis twice at the 1-yard line last week.
Well, and it was outstanding taking on of the lead block by Ken Norton Jr. Last week against Dallas. He just had a couple sensational plugs in the hole. Again, Norton is flying in there. There was a good lead block that time by Kevin Turner, the fullback. Everybody kept their legs moving to get it close. We'll see how close.
Ooh, they got it. That's close.
Steve Mariucci and Ray Rhodes. These 2 guys served on the same staff at Green Bay in 1993 and 94 under Mike Holmgren.
There's Norton. He's in there with Turner, and the surge by both Turner and Ricky Waters got it just far enough to pick up the first down. This guy has great run anticipation.
6 minutes left in the quarter. Niners leading 7-0 on a defensive score. And Ricky gets 3 to the 37-yard line. Woodall and Plummer converge on the tackle.
There's Emmett Thomas right there, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, and John Gruden sits in the middle, the offensive coordinator. Both of these guys extremely well respected. Emmett Thomas, a guy that you'd think is going to get serious play as a head coach in the National Football League. Emmett and his defense are the reason that the Eagles are still alive. Even though they're not real alive, they're
Groden with the 49ers back in '90 when Ray Rhodes was there.
2nd down and 8. Detmer buying time. looking for the sideline and pays the price from Tim McDonald as he finally does get out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Gain of about 3.
Again, just good coverage downfield. Burton Hanks roaming around the center field, helping out Woodson on the corner. Detmer afraid to put it up.
That's a 3-yard gain by Ty Pepper. It's now 3rd and 5.
Eagles sorely miss Chris T. Jones. He's the speed on the outside, and he has been unavailable for most of the season.
3rd down and 5 now. Less than 5 minutes to go in the quarter. Charlie Garner in the game, and they have him split to the left as the play clock goes all the way down to 1. And Detmer throws, and it's caught at the 22-yard line by Irving Fryer, who gets to the 18 and a first down for Philadelphia.
Well, what a great matchup it is. Anytime Rod Woodson and Irving Fryer are anywhere in the vicinity of one another, two of the finest at their positions. And that time Woodson gambled, went for the football.
Detmer. Last week it was Michael Irvin for Rod Woodson. They locked him up one-on-one with Irvin the entire game, and it looks like they're going to do that with Fryer here tonight.
Irving 3 catches, and his prior catch was the 700th of his illustrious career. 9th now on the all-time list. On first down, Ricky Waters. Good moves to the 10-yard line.
And I don't think there's much of a secret here that when the Eagles run the football, they'd like to run it at Kevin Green, who's filling in for Roy Barker. Kevin, not a very big guy when he has to play defensive end. He's playing it from a stand-up position. And they like the matchup of Barrett Brooks going after Green there on the right side. Ricky very patient, picked his hole. There's Barker, who's sitting this one out with a bad calf. Run right, young man.
2nd down and a short 3. And it's Ken Norton breaking the play up in the backfield. Charlie Garner could barely get started. No gain. 13th play of the drive upcoming. We mentioned at the very top, the 49ers have not allowed a rushing touchdown this season. 0 in 9 games. The league record from the start of the season. You have to go back 11 years. The Jets, the first 10 games in the 1986 campaign.
And that messes with an offensive coordinator's mind when they get down in that goal line situation. Your principles all of a sudden are being challenged.
3rd down and 3. Detmer hit as he throws, and then throws it away. The coverage was good. Jimmy Johnson in the back of the end zone, and it's 4th down.
On 3rd and 3, the Eagles bring in the 49ers, not fooled at all with the play fake, and they'll bring out the field goal unit.
And Dana Stubblefield again in the Philadelphia backfield. This guy's motor is running this year like never before. He starts out working against Steve Everett, runs one way, clubs him out of the way. That's a big-time move by Dana Stubblefield. This guy's added a great deal of strength, lowered his body fat. He's in the best shape of his life. Looking for a new contract next year and playing like it.
28-yard field goal attempt by the ex-Cowboy Chris Boniold is good. A 14-play drive, next 3. 2:39 left in the period. 7-3 San Francisco. Downtown Philadelphia, the aerial footage tonight provided by Goodyear. Looking down Broad Street into Center City in Philadelphia. The stadium located about a 10 or 15-minute ride south of the heart of downtown.
A beautiful night for football. Temperature going down into the high 30s, little to no wind.
Best part about being in South Philly, you pick up a cheesesteak on the way to the stadium. Life is good.
Very good. 2:39 left in the opening quarter. 49ers leading by 4. And Chris Boniold kicks off. It is hauled in at the 9-yard line by Chuck Levy, who might be the fastest guy on the team, but he can't get untracked. And good coverage that time by Darian Connor. And with a unit that's really turned in a fairly miserable performance, Joe Wessel was saying before the game that Darian Connor might be his best cover guy, and he proves it right there.
They got a standing ovation from the fans here, the special units did.
Anytime you keep the ball for 14 plays like the Eagles just did with that scoring drive, yes, it would have been better if they would have finished it off with a touchdown, but that's the type of possession they'll take to keep Steve Young out of the ballgame.
First down from the 20-yard line, and here's Garrison Hurst. He can't get out of the backfield. Wrapped up at the 19-yard line for a loss of 1. Big Hollis Thomas, the first to make contact, and Mike Mamula finished him off.
Swarming the green, though. Ray Rhodes has them fired up. There's no question about that. They've been going at it all week. He's a very emotional coach. He gets that through to the players, and he can get a team up to almost will them to win.
And he really sells it to this defensive unit that our offense is inconsistent. It's up to you to keep us in the football game. You have to play well if we're to have any chance to win.
2nd and 11. They flush Young out of the pocket. Steve scrambling and just throws it away.
See, now, there's the difference, Al and Frank, between the time before when he got called for intentional grounding. He clearly outside the pocket that time, got him back up to the line of scrimmage, and that's where the rule works in the quarterback's favor.
And the Eagles defensive unit stayed with their receivers. They know Steve Young well. He comes out here, and now ordinarily you have to come up and protect against the run, and Steve directing traffic. They stayed with the receivers, and Steve had to throw it away. Good coverage.
3rd and 11. Crowd very much into it with 1:42 left in the opening quarter. Terry Kirby in the backfield behind Young. Young scrambles and is well shy of the first down on an ankle tackle by the safety Mike Zordich. So it's 3 and out, and the 49ers to punt.
There's the old bull being chased by the old bull. Two guys that have been to the war before. And Michael Zordich, not exactly known as a great speed guy at strong safety, played the angle and got Steve Young.
He timed this out perfectly. And Young has a lot of speed still remaining. He's been around a while, too. 13 years. Zordich, 11 years. Good matchup.
Tommy Thompson to punt. Freddie Solomon to return the kick. He has the job back after a mark-safe fumble. And despite a balloon on the field near the punter, the play gets off, and it's taken by Solomon at the 30-yard line. He's able to turn. Moments of the opening quarter, and we have a moment to bring you up to date on some NFL news brought to you by Budweiser. There was that big suit against the league filed by the St. Louis Convention and Visitors Commission, and the Rams were a party to it, and the judge threw it out today. So that's over. Todd Collins starts at quarterback for the Bills at Miami next Monday night. Buffalo at Miami on Monday Night Football. Craig Wheelahan gets the start at quarterback for the Chargers against Oakland on Sunday. And Cortez Kennedy of Seattle had surgery on a fractured left leg, but Coach Dennis Erickson says Kennedy could be back in December. And the Seahawks on a roll right now, looking for a playoff spot. 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. And Detmer with a deep drop and then a dump off to Charlie Garner. And Garner picks up a first down before he's pushed out of bounds by Darnell Walker.
One of the things the 49ers are having to do, because of Kevin Green playing defensive end, they're having to flip their defensive ends, which is something they don't ordinarily do. That time Chris Dolman went to the opposite side, was over the right tackle. Green was over the open side. They went at Green and picked up the yardage. It's really an awkward situation, Frank, when you see a defensive end playing upright in a two-point stance.
Just a little flip to Charlie Garner. He has great speed. He just outruns Ken Norton.
Waning seconds of the quarter. And this is Garner again. And Garner gets loose. He's inside the 45. And Charlie to the 35-yard line to end the quarter. So the Eagles on the move. 1 quarter gone. At the end of 1, it's San Francisco 7, Philadelphia 3, and Monday Night Football returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Dierdorf and Lynn Swan, and the 49ers lead 7-3, but because of their defense, Ricky Waters fumbled on Philadelphia's first possession, and Merton Hanks ran it in for a touchdown. Philadelphia answered with a field goal, and we begin the second period with a 1st and 10 for the Eagles at the 49-35, and a fake to Charlie Garner, and Detmer guns it, but incomplete. Too low, intended for Michael Timpson. 2nd down. Take a look now at the numbers through the first 15 minutes of play.
And a reverse on that time of possession, Dan, that you talked about. The 49ers have been dominating the last few weeks in time of possession. Look at this. Philadelphia almost double.
Only one first down for the 49ers. But again, it only took that one fumble to give San Francisco the lead.
2nd and 10 now out of the I. And from the I formation, this is Garner. Garner had a debut in 1994 in the game the Eagles won 40-8, handing the 49ers a very rare, tremendous defeat in San Francisco. It was Garner that day rushing for 111 yards.
And as you can see, Ray Rhodes has turned to Charlie Garner because of the fumble to Ricky Waters. Ricky's watching this one from the sideline, and I'm sure none too pleased. Not a spot that he likes to be, but Ray Rhodes has a quick hook at quarterback and every place else.
Garner's a great change of pace, though.
3rd down and 8. And this is Turner, but the pass is too high for the fullback, and so it's 4th down and 8.
That's a couple errant passes by Ty Detmer this possession. Threw the one across the middle of the formation downfield to Timpson and hit him in the ankle, and that one he floats it.
Well, 4th down, they're just right on the edge of Chris Bonio, and they're trying to make the decision what to do with it.
They leave the offense in, so it's 4th down and 8. At least they're going to line up to go for it. And it's Chu
does not have that kind of range. Ray Rhodes told us yesterday 43 yards is about the max.
So they go for it on 4th and 8. And forget about a pooch punt, and the pass is behind Timpson, and they lose it on downs, and a flag is down. A flag is down near the line of scrimmage.
Not a pretty series of passes from Ty Detmer.
Personal foul,
and that'll help out a 4th down incompletion.
Roughing the passer.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 56 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Chris Dolman looking on questioningly.
Dolman coming from the backside, and he took a good 3 steps before he lowered his shoulder into Ty Detmer.
And he also put that helmet in there too.
That'll bring it every time. That's an uncharacteristic play from such a veteran guy like Chris Dolman.
Boy,
he's better and smarter than that.
Untimely, too, because the defense had great coverage on the Eagles receivers.
Dolman in his 13th year in the league, so instead of the 49ers with the football, it's 1st and 10 from the 18. Waters is back in the game and picks up a yard. Dana Stubblefield with the tackle.
You don't get to be 8-1 by making a bunch of bonehead plays. The 49ers have avoided that, but boy, that's a big one, keeping a drive alive like that. And Ricky frustrated as he heads back to the Eagles sideline.
Garner back in the game. 2nd down and 9 now. Early 2nd quarter, San Francisco leading by 4. Detmer flushed out. Chase throws on the run, and that's incomplete. Freddie Solomon, the intended receiver, and Turner was also in the area.
Good pressure from Kevin Green and Chris Dolman, forcing Detmer out of the pocket.
I think we have to adjust the crosshairs on Ty's gun sights here. He has been a little off target here in his last 4 passes. Now this one, of course, under duress. But still, he's been in this position before, way behind his guy. Pretty tough for Solomon to come back and make the adjustment. He could have had it, but you got to give your receiver a better chance than that.
5 of 14 is a dismal figure. 3rd down and 9. And that one is thrown low and short and dropped by Garner. And even had he caught it, he would have been well shy of the 1st down.
You know what, that
McDonald right there.
That pass looked like when a pitcher flips it over to the first baseman and doesn't have a whole lot on it, and you see it bounce off of the heel of the first baseman's glove. That was a low sinker that Detmer sent out there.
And when the receiver is hoping that it'll get there a little quicker so he can make a move with it, the ball well short of 1st down yardage. And Charlie was just thinking about running with the football before it got there, and he loses it.
I mean, he's got to catch it. That's Garner's fault, but Detmer could have helped him a little.
Bonio from 35 yards out And that is the 45th consecutive field goal he has kicked from 35 yards and in. But Dolman's penalty cost the Niners 3, and it's 7-6 San Francisco. 13-16 to go in the half. And Boniol to kick off for Philadelphia. Pulled in by Chuck Levy at the 7-yard line. Coming to the near sideline, trying to turn the corner. And Levy with a decent run back all the way up to the 32-yard line. George Stewart, the wild and woolly 49ers special teams coach. Monday Night Football being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Budweiser, this Bud's for you. And Paramount Pictures, The Rainmaker. We call George Stewart wild and woolly because of that scene last week in the Cowboy game.
Hiani Iwazaki had a punt return very crucial at the end of the Cowboy game. He came over to the 49er bench and got leveled by George Stewart, who delivered one of the biggest hits of the day. There's Iwazaki because of a knee, isn't playing tonight, but he got dropped big time by George Stewart.
From the 32-yard line, here's Young to William Floyd, and he's taken down. Good open field tackle, but it's ruled dead at the spot of the tackle. Second down.
So far, the 49ers having a difficult time getting this offense on track. Frustrating for Steve Young. You can almost see it on his face on the sidelines. Looking downfield, had to check that one off to Floyd. Eagles providing good coverage, good pressure. Forced him out of the pocket.
Second and 9 now as Young hands the ball to Garrison Hurst, who a few years ago by the Cardinals. He spent 3 forgettable seasons down there. Went to Cincinnati and had a decent year last year. But he was a free agent, and he settled for a lot less money for a chance to win. So that's why he's in San Francisco.
It is almost like recruiting. You want to go to a big-time program because for the first time in your professional life, you have a chance to win. That's why Garrison Hurst came to San Francisco.
Purdy comes in for him now. Good receiver out of the backfield.
Of course, he redefined being in a doghouse. That doghouse he was in a Buddy Ryan's.
Third down and 5. Young fires. It's incomplete. It's tipped by William Thomas. Good coverage. The only receiver in the area was Brent Jones, but the Eagles had him surrounded, and it's 3 and out for the 49ers.
And it's hard to start any better defensively, Frank, than the Eagles have so far this game.
Thomas with a big play. He's a big play man for the Eagles. Not too big, but he really moves around well. He's got 15 career interceptions. He almost got number 16 here. But he'll make the play for you defensively.
Well, there's not a linebacker in the NFL that covers more ground than William Thomas.
Tommy Thompson to punt. Freddie Solomon back for it. Calls for a fair catch at the 28-yard line. And the ball is jarred loose.
His own man.
But if his own man created it, it's a live football. And the signal is that the 49ers have recovered.
Now, he made the fair signal catch. I mean, the signal is he's running over. He's clearly waving for a fair catch.
So who made the contact here?
It appeared that it was his own man. But the Eagles are having a very difficult time running a punt back.
Joe Wessel looking up at the big screen. And here's what the crowd sees as you see it.
There's the waving. That's as clear as it gets.
There's his own man banging into it.
Tim McTire, number 24.
Now McTire bumps into Solomon, but the big hit right there is supplied on the other side. That's Curtis Buckley. Now there's the hit by Buckley that knocks the ball out, but technically McTire was the first guy to touch Solomon.
And Buckley recovers the ball as the 49ers get it back, and William Floyd picks up 4 to the 23.
Eagles have taken Mark Say off the punt return unit because of a couple of fumbles he's had in the last couple of weeks.
Joe Wessel has a reason to be upset because to jar him and jar the ball loose.
So the Eagles incensed again. Ray Rhodes on the cusp of being fined anyway for remarks about the officials in the Arizona game. Hurst takes it to the 19. The league has not officially fined Ray, who came out last week and was strongly critical of the officials. And the league said, hey, look, there's a difference between questioning calls and questioning integrity. And even though he can't appeal it, there's a reasonable expectation he will be fined.
Let's take a look at it one more time. There, the fair catch signal by Freddie Solomon. Now he's going to get rubbed. He's going to get bumped here. But a shot right to the face by Curtis Buckley.
Buckley hit him first before he hit McTire. Crowd still booing. 3rd down and 4. Young throws, and it's caught. The first catch of the night for Terrell Owens. And Owens is, they say, down at the 1. They're going to say down at the 1 and 1st and goal. But if he's down there, how is it not a fumble?
Unless they're saying the ground caused it.
They'll have to be saying that.
There's no other. Yeah, there's nothing else they can say.
Down by contact at the half-yard line. 1st down, San Francisco.
If he has possession of the football when he lands on the seat of his pants, the play ends right there. Let's watch it. Owens drives, and that's exactly what happened. He still has the ball when he hits the ground.
And now Garrison Hurst goes into the end zone to put San Francisco on top 13-6.
Well, the crowd can boo what happened to Freddie Solomon on the punt return, but they can't complain about that. That was an accurate call by the official spotting it there at the 1.
And garbage being hurled out of the stands. As Hurst goes in for the score, pending the extra point, now it's 13-6.
Great block out front by Kevin Gogan, who got 330 pounds moving, and a walk-in for Hurst.
He's like following a house. Gary Anderson, who kicked here with the Eagles last year, the longtime Steeler, boots it through all 14 points off turnovers, and San Francisco back up on top by 8. Ray Rhodes, who always looks stern, and maybe even sterner tonight, after the call on the fair catch. They ruled it a muff and thus a free ball, and Joe Wessels' special teams has now fumbled 5 punts this season.
Saying Solomon did not control that ball, and it is a free ball. And it is called a muff, and so if that's how it's ruled, that's a good call.
Tommy Thompson to kick off now. Bouncing at the 20. Staley fumbles it at the 18-yard line, and there is next to no return. With 9:16 left in the half. So all the 49er points off turnover as San Francisco leads Philadelphia by 8.
Another look at Freddie Solomon. You see Freddie trying to field the ball, gets hit by McTire, then gets jacked again by Buckley. The officials ruling he never had possession. You can argue that on either side of the football, saying, well, if he wouldn't have been hit, maybe he would have controlled it. It went against the Eagles, and it ended up being a 49er touchdown.
And now the Eagles start this drive from the 19-yard line with a pass that's called in by the rookie tight end Chad Lewis for a gain of 6. So the officials ruling it a muff, so a live football. And then there was no question about the play involving Terrell Owens and the retention by the 49ers. The only question as we looked at that one again was whether Owens scored the touchdown or not, which turned out to be academic because they got it on the next play as Hurst took it in. 2nd down and 4 from the 25-yard line by the venerable middle linebacker Gary Plummer. Plummer, we say venerable. Venerable is when you get to the point when you don't practice a couple of days a week.
Then there's a lot of guys on this 49er team are venerable.
Well, he's been in the National Football League 12 years, started with San Diego, but before that he had 3 years in the USFL in Oakland. So he's got 15 years of service in.
It is well known around the NFL that the 49ers probably devote less time during their practice day to contact than any other team in the NFL. And veterans love that.
3rd down and 3. Detmer under pressure and goes down. He gets sacked by Kevin Green, who led the league in sacks as a Panther last year. Another veteran, and Steve Mariucci was saying last night as we met with him, he said, you know, our organization is veteran friendly.
That's 125 and a half.
Well, he's working against Barrett Brooks, the right tackle, and he catches him back on his heels and just drops him.
And pretty good coverage by the 49ers. Yeah. Detmer had no place to put that football.
Tom Hutton. It's a punt. Chuck Levy is back for the 49ers again. Ihani Owezike, who would normally run back punts, inactive tonight because of a knee injury. Levy, who has a lot of speed from the 36, brings it back to the 44-yard line. He's tackled there by Jimmy Johnson. 7:24 left in the half in Philadelphia, where the 49ers lead the Eagles 14-6.
Contingent of Marines who are here celebrating an important anniversary. It was on November 10th, 1775, exactly 222 years ago today, that the U.S. Marine Corps was founded, and they were founded right here in the city of Philadelphia. City of brotherly love.
The Liberty Bell replica.
That's not the real one.
Not the real one. Steve Young throws, and it is picked off at the 20-yard line by Charles Dimry. He was inbounds after Stokes had fallen down.
And only Steve Young's 5th interception of the season. Dimry replacing the injured Bobby Taylor, who's gone for the season.
And that's certainly a ball that Steve put up in the air, expecting Stokes with that great height of his to go up and get. But watch JJ, he trips and falls.
You're so right, though.
Charles
that was just thrown
right
up. And again, Steve Young we talked about it earlier, trying to take advantage of the short cornerbacks for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that one backfired on him.
Yeah, he just expected Stokes to outleap Dimry for the ball, and Stokes was on the ground.
Dimry's first interception as an Eagle. He's been around 10 years with Atlanta, Denver, and Tampa Bay. And that's exactly what the Eagles needed here. Down by 8 to get back in the game, or at least stay in the game. From the 20-yard line, Waters can barely get out of the backfield before he's tripped up by Dolman. 2nd down.
Well, you got to keep a defensive end from getting 4 yards upfield. Ricky had no chance whatsoever right there. It's a fully blocked play, to say the very least, when Chris Dolman is 4 yards upfield. Again, Stokes, no chance to react back to the sidelines.
I'm not so sure he would have got there had he not lost his footing.
2nd and 10 from the 20. Detmer, who is 6 of 16, throws a duck, and that's incomplete. A wobbler through the hands of Jimmy Johnson.
Well, Detmer was in a crowd. He was dancing around there buying time, and actually that ball could have been caught.
3rd down and 9. Johnson comes out.
Where they have to be careful they don't turn it over.
4 wide receivers. Here come the Niners. The blitz is picked up, and Detmer's throw gets into the arms of Irving Fryer. Rod Woodson tried to pick it off, or at least knock it down, and Irving is able to make the catch and pick up the 1st down.
The war continues between Rod Woodson and Irving Fryer. This one goes to Fryer and Detmer, and Woodson came very close to picking that one off.
And after a flurry of bad passes, that was a perfect throw by Ty Detmer. Watch this ball, just outside of the outstretched arms of Woodson, and that was an absolutely perfect pass by Ty Detmer.
It had to be. Good coverage by Woodson.
Meanwhile, Ken Norton hobbled to the sideline. Jim Schwantz now in at linebacker for the Niners, and Detmer throws a screen. Kevin Turner to the fullback, and that play is broken up in the backfield. Tim McDonald, the strong safety, up at the line to knock him down in the backfield.
Well, what a great year Tim McDonald's having. He's one of the premier safeties as they look at Norton on the sidelines.
And you know who else is out there? Dana Stubblefield runs all the way out to get in on that play.
And there's a flag down.
Lindsey McLean, the trainer of the 49ers.
Formation, number 73 on the offense. 6th man on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. 2nd down.
They call Jerry Crafts, who's in at right tackle.
And it's declined because the loss was 2, making it 2nd down and 12. So they work on Norton. Schwantz, the ex-Cowboy.
They're testing to make sure that Ken has his arm strength. They're testing with resistance.
2nd down and 12 now. And this is Waters, and he exploits a minimal hole and picks up 6, and there's another marker down.
That goes right in where they usually call holding.
It is against the Eagles. Bill Carollo is the referee.
Eagles totally bedeviled by penalties.
Number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
That's Bubba Miller, the left guard, who's making the first start of his NFL life tonight. And what an assignment he drew most of the time having to block Dana Stubblefield. You can take a look at that right there. You look at that prodigious output yardage-wise for the Eagles, number 3 in the NFL, but they're not getting the points that correspond to that yardage, 23rd in the NFL. And again, that's what's happening here this evening. Look at the yardage, 144 yards, 2.5 times what San Francisco has, but yet they're trailing in points 14-6.
Down by 8, and down goes Detmer as he gets sacked back at the 13-yard line. Joe Panos gouged in the eye last week.
Panos had surgery on his retina this week, partially torn, and he'll be back in a couple weeks. But Bubba draws a tough deal here. There's Bubba 65, Bubba Miller, and you just don't expect a guy 300 pounds to be that nimble. That was a fine swim move by Dana Stubblefield. You look at the big body, then the big body's gone.
And
7th game in a row.
10th sack as Ricky Waters on 3rd and 28 picks up a few, but they'll punt again. Lee Woodall makes the tackle, and it's amazing when you think of Stubblefield, a tackle with 10 sacks. And everybody kept saying, well, you know, he gets a lot of sacks because they're double teaming Bryant Young, but since Young's been out, Stubblefield he's even picked it up a notch.
And it's the 7th game now he's had at least 1 sack.
And keep in mind, Dana Stubblefield's contract expires at the end of this year. He can't be their franchise player, so they're going to have to get him signed by February. And isn't it amazing how well guys play when they've got a chance to go out and test the waters? And I don't mean the Ricky Waters.
He's a free agent too. Tom Hutton to the 26-yard line, and that's Chuck Levy, and Levy with only Hutton to outrun, and that's easy enough, and he scores, and they've done it again against the Philadelphia special teams unit.
The old way to run it back, just take it straight up the field. You can get hammered, but if you ever pop it, you're gone, and particularly with the speed of Chuck Levy. And the special teams of Philadelphia have been hurt once again.
And this is a guy, Chuck Levy, who wouldn't have returned punts tonight had Ihani Uwezurike been healthy. It's only the 2nd punt return of his career.
Look at this, no hesitation at all. Finds a gap, turns it on, and he's gone. Great speed.
I'd say on that entire punt return, the closest that any Philadelphia Eagle got to Levy was within maybe 3 yards.
Gary Anderson, the point answer. 73-yard run back.
No Eagle gets anywhere close to Chuck Levy.
The nearest was Tom Hutton, the punter.
And he gets within about 10 feet. That's mind-boggling that you can send 11 guys after anybody any closer than that.
Levy saw that gap. He just exploded. Didn't hesitate at all. Didn't look right or left. He just took it right through the gap, and he was in the clear.
I can only imagine.
Killing the Philadelphia Eagles.
Destroying them. 21-6. Tommy Thompson to kick off.
What's the old saying? Mistakes are killing us, and that is certainly the case for the Eagles tonight. Fumbles, muffs, and lack of coverage.
Drew Staley back to return it. The rookie from South Carolina takes it from the 7. And he answers Levy's run back with a pretty good one of his own as he gets it out to midfield to the 50-yard line. With 3:51 remaining in the first half.
Unusually good field position now for Philadelphia. They could really use a few points on the board, too, before they go in.
Eagles and the Phillies each looking for a new facility, as so many of these soup tureen-like stadiums built in the early 70s have become outmoded and outdated. Frankie Smith is the injured 49er, the reason for the stoppage in play right now.
A soup tureen.
Well, you think
stadium?
about, well, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, St. Louis in a way, Busch Stadium, built like soup tureens.
There is some similarity between them all. I don't argue that.
Well, multi-purpose.
Great pictures tonight.
At the time when they were built.
From our magnificent crew. Ken Wolf, as always, producing. Craig Janoff calling the shots, directing. We've been together a long, long time and love it. This is one pretty city, isn't it? That's not the real Liberty Bell Road?
No, that's not. No, I don't think so. Jeez. But then again,
before the evening's over, it might be.
right.
At least the Liberty Bell.
At least there's some of the people in attendance here.
Frankie Smith leaving under his own power, and they were looking at his shoulder, and we have Marquez Pope, who ordinarily would start at the right cornerback. They don't expect him back for another few weeks. He's out with a serious foot sprain.
Marquez told me tonight, though, that if this was a playoff game, he could have gone. That's easy to say.
Yeah, Roy Barker told me the same thing, too.
So now the Eagles from the 50-yard line, 3:51 remaining in the first half. San Francisco leading by 15. Detmer. And Detmer gets sacked again, and that's Stubblefield, his second sack of the night and 11 for the season.
He ought to start negotiating on the plane ride back, Dan.
Well, he should ask to play against the guy who's making his first start every week. This again, he's working on Bubba Miller. This time just moves him to the end. Watch the move to the inside. Miller has to challenge him.
Well, he had Everett helping him on the inside.
Yeah, that's too soft of a hole. Everett gets a shot in Stubblefield's back. By that time, he's too far. If Bubba Miller's to do anything, he's got to take a shot at Stubblefield. He's got to try to hit him and stand him up. If you whiff, you whiff. But hit him, don't absorb him.
Second and 17, and that's knocked down by Stubblefield, who knocks that one down after recording his 11th sack. He and Bruce Smith are now tied for the league lead in sacks.
You just can't play soft against a guy like this. Take your best shot, attack him. If you miss him, you miss him, but just don't give ground and absorb him. And right now, Miller is far too passive, just absorbing Stubblefield, who's in the process of abusing Bubba Miller.
Third and 17. Detmer is now 8 of 20, and you wonder if Ray Rhodes goes to the hook again at halftime as he did last week, and that is behind Ricky Waters. So he's 8 for 21.
Who's he going to hook?
Well,
Ty or Bubba?
Exactly. Ty, Bubba, and a few others. Last week it was Detmer taking over for Pete. And now you have a third-party candidate as well in Philadelphia, the young quarterback, Bobby Hoying.
Bubba Miller playing guard like the other Bubba.
Now Tom Hutton to punt. Eagles, after a good run back, go 3 and out. A one-hop snap.
Can that be true?
Fair catch is called for and made by Levy at the 21, and a mock cheer goes up. At least they prevented a run back.
Well, they just barely got the punt off, though. It was dribbled back to the punter, Tom Hutton, and he made a good handle on it to get the punt off. Boy, they have had so much trouble in the special teams all year long, but the past few weeks, it's been a nightmare. Good fielding by Tom Hutton.
Well, good thing they're on AstroTurf, artificial surface. You get that nice, clean skip that comes at you relatively straight.
Now from the 20, this is Garrison Hurst picking up a first down. He gets 12 yards. He's tackled by Michael Zordich.
Well, you saw right there a good block downfield, but Dana Stubblefield having the first half of all first halves. There you see a block in the first quarter. Comes in with a shot on Detmer. Comes in with the sack to keep his streak alive. Here he comes in with his second sack of the half. And then he'll finish it off right there with the block.
And back live, it's Garrison Hurst on first down again, picking up a hard yard or two with 2.5 to go in the half.
Dana ought to give that package to his agent.
Right now, that's a little show me the money right now by Dana Stubblefield.
Wow. We talked to Ray Rhodes about Bubba Miller, and he said, well, there's not much on technique, but he's a fighter. He's a tough guy. He'll give us everything he's got.
Second and 8. This is Hurst. Out past the 40 and tripped up, but picks up the first down before he's knocked down by Troy Vincent as we come upon the 2-minute warning, and the Niners capitalizing on Eagle mistakes, leading 21-6. Philadelphia. You know, gents, it's an amazing thing. If the Niners win tonight, leading by 15, and beat Carolina, they clinch the NFC West on the 16th of November and wouldn't play their first playoff game until most likely the first weekend in January.
Being a lot of the, the similar position what Denver was last year over in the AFC, and
a few more weeks to spare.
Right. Now, of course, home field advantage is still very much in play, and of course that means an awful lot to the San Francisco 49ers, who in the postseason have a wonderful record at Candlestick, 3Com Park, and not much of a record on the road during the playoffs.
At the 2-minute warning, taking some time off the clock and trying to move the ball forward. Garrison Hurst for a couple of yards. And Dan, as Dan pointed out, the 49ers are 14-4 in postseason games at Candlestick Park, but 1-5 when they go on the road.
Yeah, so very much you know that they're going to play to try to stay home. And let's be serious, this is a football team that is so veteran that they know how to handle those situations. You know, we tried to talk to Steve Young about it earlier tonight down on the field. He goes, hey, that long-range thinking is for you guys. We don't get involved in that. We hardly even know who we're going to play next week.
49ers take a timeout. There's to punt with 1:26 remaining. Steve Mariucci. You know, you think about gutty moves. The 49ers with their great tradition, the Bill Walsh years, the George Seifert years, and then to go out and hire a then 41-year-old coach who just turned 42 last week with no NFL head coaching experience. But the Niners obviously knew what they were doing.
Well, they liked what they saw. They liked his development 4 years at Green Bay when he worked with Brett Favre and Mark Brunell.
Last year, the head coach at the University of California, Tommy Thompson's kick is a short floater, but takes a good 49er bounce. Everything going right for San Francisco tonight, wrong for Philadelphia. It looks like it's going to go out of bounds, and then it bounces another 12 to 15 yards. And they're going to squeeze every last millimeter out of it.
Then they squeezed a lot of extra seconds off the clock as well, making it all that tougher for Detmer to move his offense into scoring position, trying to salvage something here at the end of the first half.
Down 21-6. The emotion that the Eagles brought onto this football field has been drained somewhat.
Well, there's down 21-6, and then there's down 21-6 against the NFL's #1 defensive team.
You know, the crowd is almost booed out at this point. They are strangely quiet for a Philadelphia crowd.
Oh, they'll rebound.
Oh, you know they will.
They have great stamina in that respect.
On the 13-yard line, Detmer caught by Michael Timpson. And he's knocked down at the 25-yard line. They don't want to burn a timeout here. They have all 3 remaining.
Single covered. Darnell Walker right there, but Detmer
from the 26 now. Detmer hitting Solomon, and he's out of bounds, forced out by Rod Woodson. Second down and 3 after the gain of 7.
49ers in there prevent 7 defensive backs. Name of the game for Philadelphia is trying to get the ball to Irvin Fryer, but 49ers have pretty much taken him out of this game.
Detmer flushed out and then gets tackled back at the 28-yard line by Chris Dolman. So Chris gets credit for a sack.
Pretty good, you know, it's pretty good protection initially. Hate to throw that one on the Eagle offensive line. Ty forced out with nobody open downfield, trying to buy some extra time. And Dolman, how many sacks in his career has he attained by doing just that, running down a quarterback? One of the fastest defensive ends that has ever played this game.
Still got it too, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
13th year.
Got a burst. Kind of like a cornerback in that sense. This guy can close that last 3 yards to a quarterback in a hurry. And back in Pennsylvania, back in PA.
Went to school at Pittsburgh. The glory years for him at Minnesota with the Vikings. 3rd down and 7 from the 28-yard line. Good protection, and then Solomon looks for the flag, and it is picked off. Darnell Walker has the ball. He looked around for a flag. There was nothing. And San Francisco, for the moment, has it at the 36-yard line.
That's one of those deals where the 49er offense was slow coming out on the field. I think they
expecting some flag to be thrown somewhere.
They sort of ambled out.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. It's almost as if everybody in the ballpark looked around for a flag. There was none, and it's an interception.
Freddie Solomon, the intended receiver, and a good save of that ball by Darnell Walker.
Was that Zach Bronson, the guy that was tied up?
Right. And this is what I mean by the crowd being booed out. It is strangely quiet right now. Their team is in desperate shape in the standings, turning in a pretty terrible first half. And the 49ers can now really go for the jugular here. Young throws. Wide open is Terrell Owens. How do you get that open in this situation? Takes it to the 13.
Particularly you're in a nickel defense and terrible coverage. The jugular wide open. Steve was right there with the knife.
And the Niners take a timeout. I think they're saving the booing for halftime.
Look at the coverage. Setting up and wide open.
I'm not sure there was coverage.
And the Niners take their final timeout with 13 seconds. Make it 16 seconds.
Well, these two receivers on the outside, Stokes and Terrell Owens, have gone so well during this season. When they lose Jerry Rice at the very beginning of the season, it's kind of changed the nature of the game. Last week for the 49ers, they had 8 different receivers. And with the main man missing, there's Bobby Taylor, the defensive back for the Eagles, out for the season on IR.
Now the 49ers are without a timeout, so they have to work the sideline or the end zone. And intended for Brent Jones, but he's covered well by James Willis. And now we are down to 12 seconds. Mariucci checking. Again, it's the situation where the last thing you want to do is complete a pass inbounds and not reach the end zone. Without a timeout, you don't even have time to spike it.
Steve Mariucci calls his own plays. Ray Rhodes allows his coordinators to handle that, but Mariucci is one of the head coaches in this league that runs the offense. It's all his.
On 2nd and 10, Young going to the end zone, and that one is thrown out of bounds. Pretty good coverage that time on J.J. Stokes by Charles Demery, and the 49ers will settle for a field goal attempt.
Now Steve is just trying to again use the size of Stokes at 6'4", working against the 6-foot Demery, but Demery had good coverage on it. They left him out there alone on an island against the big Stokes. Steve just put it up there when he saw the coverage and put it out of bounds, gave Stokes a possible chance. Using that size once again on the Philadelphia corner.
Now a 31-yard field goal attempt by Gary Anderson, and that's the 16th in a row for him. Eagles decided not to sign Anderson, instead pursued Chris Boniol, and ironically Anderson having a considerably better season than his Boniol. 3 more for the 49ers to go up now by a score of 24-6 with 4 seconds left in the half.
I think your call's right on, Al. I think they are waiting.
They're waiting for. It'll be a full-scale salute when the Eagles leave the field.
Luckily, the tunnel. There's Jeffrey Lurie and his wife, though.
Christina
cannot be happy at all by what they're seeing. Very disappointing. Jeffrey quick to point out that with a win tonight, they were right back, only a game out, and instead they're being annihilated by the 49ers at home.
Eagles, the only team in the league that hasn't scored more than 24 in any game this season, despite, as we've said before, number 3 in total offense. And when you see those rankings, if you don't follow football that closely, what that means when somebody says you're 3 in total offense, it means you gain the 3rd most yards.
Yeah, it's all on yards.
Figure through the years has clearly become points.
And Ray Rhodes is quick to point out the reason we gain so many yards offensively is because we always start in terrible field position and are facing 75 and 80 yards to go. And for the same reason, our defense is ranked high because they're defending a short field because the other team's offense starts in our territory so many times.
Thompson kicking a bouncing ball that is picked up by Chad Lewis, and that's the way the half will end. And there will be a 21-gun salute for the Eagles as they leave the field. You can hear it. At the half, San Francisco 24, Philadelphia 6 to New York now. Chris Berman.
ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. Brought to you by the United States Marine Corps. The change is forever. Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. And Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car.
And we're back in Philadelphia. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, and Lynn Swan as we start the second half. Fireworks display.
Celebrating the birthday of the U.S. Marine Corps, 222 years old, and a lot of post-fireworks smoke drifting around the bench.
It's murky. And the Niners with Terry Kirby dropping the kickoff. And even with all of that, he's still able to make it a fairly decent run back to the 20-yard line.
That's a magnificent run back, considering that he's bobbling the ball around the 3 or the 4-yard line, and still they get. Yeah, Joe Wessel just has to be ready to just wring some necks, including his own.
Well, the halftime stats don't really reflect the score, 24-6.
But look at that, 17 49er points because of those 3 Eagle turnovers. Time of possession almost 2-1 in favor of Philadelphia. Yardage a big advantage, but turnovers their undoing.
From the 20-yard line, they give it to Garrison Hurst, and he picks up 4 up to the 24-yard line. It'll be second down, 6. The 49ers, when they win the turnover battle, they are as close to being unbeatable as any team in the history of the National Football League. In their last 66 games, take a look at that. When they have the advantage in turnovers, 65-1. That one was opening day this year against Tampa Bay.
Well, they were plus 15 in the giveaway takeaway coming into this. That was the best in the National Football League. The best in a lot of categories.
Second down and 6, and this is Hurst again, and he is able to exploit a minimal hole and pick up about 4. Of course, setting up a 3rd and short 2.
That one that lost to Tampa Bay, instead of turnovers, they lost Jerry Rice and they lost Steve Young.
That's right. And you think back to Young, and a lot of people, a lot of family members were telling him to retire. And he sat out, remember, he sat out the following week's game against St. Louis, and the second team quarterback, Jeff Brom, was also hurt, and Jim Druckenmiller led them to a victory.
Wasn't a thing of beauty, but it was a W.
Niners this year are a perfect 8 for 8 on 3rd and 1 and make it 9 out of 9 as William Floyd picks up the necessary yardage. And there is Jim Druckenmiller, their #1 draft choice out of Virginia Tech.
Questionable whether Terrell Owens will come back here for the second half, and if he doesn't, there he is, a slight concussion. He's still on the sideline, so we'll call it slight. Otherwise, he'd be somewhere else. You might think he is.
Slight concussion. It reminds me of a minor surgery. Somebody once said, "What's minor surgery?" Surgery on somebody else.
Yeah.
1st and 10 at the 31-yard line. First. About a half a yard. 2nd and long.
Filling in for Owens is Mark Harris, a first-team man out of Stanford. Actually was with Dallas a year ago, and they cut him.
And right now, the Eagles' best defensive lineman, Red Hall, is a little bit banged up. He knifed in there and took a good hit, and he's got to head to the Eagles' sideline. 7.5 sacks on the year so far. 1 interception, by far and away his best year. A guy who got started with the 49ers.
2nd and 10. Young. And that's caught by J.J. Stokes. Tackled at the 36, about 5 yards shy of the first down. As you look at Hall, and we check in with Lynn Swan. Swanee.
Well, you know, Al, coming out for the second half, the Philadelphia Eagles, Ray Rhodes' team were very up, very focused. They were not down about the second half. They understood the reason why they're behind is because of special teams. Some mistakes. Their defense has been playing outstanding. Ray said, what we have to do is make sure our special teams don't make mistakes and get our offense to make something happen. But their defense is excellent now.
Remember what Ray told us yesterday? All I want my special teams to do is play to a tie. If they just won't lose the game for us, hopefully our defense and our offense can win it for us. That hasn't been the case.
3rd and 5. They had Chuck Levy in this set. He was the man in motion, and the pass was intended for him. The same guy who ran the punt back for a touchdown in the first half, and it's 4th down.
Steve Young under a lot of pressure that time. Had to fire that one coming out of a stack of on-rushing Eagles. Let's take a look at what happened to them in the first half of special teams.
Well, you had that call on the muff punt after the fair catch was called for, and then you've got this Chuck Levy return. As Dan said, it may have been the worst punt coverage in history. And Eagle not even close, and then a one-hopper back to Hutton, but he was able to get the kick away.
And we left out a few flags.
Yes.
This back to live action here.
And this is a fair catch called for and made this time with a mock cheer.
And look at the cheer.
Punt by Solomon. 11:28 left in the third. San Francisco by 18.
Oh, free beer. I gotta warn you, boys, those seats are taken.
By us.
Okay, I warned you.
Excuse me, those are our beers.
Excuse us. We should have known these were yours.
You being that rugged outdoor type and all.
Mariucci, 8-game winning streak coming into tonight's game. And they're the two guys who hold the NFL record for a winning streak in a regular season contest by rookie head coaches Wally Lim and Ted Marchabroda. And Mariucci right now with a very good chance to equal that feat as Ricky Waters on first down picks up 2 up to the 32. Second down and 8. Mentioned that Ray Rhodes and Mariucci were staff mates in Green Bay. Ray left San Francisco to go with Mike Holmgren, and Steve was there coaching the quarterbacks and was very instrumental in the development of Brett Favre. Favre loves him. Second down and 7 from the 33. Detmer dumps it off over the middle, and Norton helps to break the play up. Third down intended for Jason Dunn.
Norton got a hand on it, but he was disappointed that he was a step away from maybe 6 points.
Well, it's just so easy for Ken Norton. He sits down in his little zone responsibility. Dunn comes right to him. Ken's just waiting for it. No chance of completing that to the tight end, Jason Dunn.
Crowd chanting, boring, boring. The Eagles have not lost a game at home this season. 4-0 here, 0-5 on the road, but they're playing like they're on the road right now. And they are short of the first down. On a third down and 7, they can only pick up 5, and it's fourth down.
Well, they blue-tied Detmer, but that was terrific coverage for the 49ers deep. Detmer really ran out of time, had no place to put it, so he just dumped it off.
But at some point in time, you've got to take a shot. You can't just dink and dunk and drop it off 2 and 3 yards every time. You've got to realize you're down 24-6. One way to loosen up a defense is to take a shot and hit it.
Good way to be down 48-6.
Well, not much difference.
Tom Hutton's a punt. Good snap, pretty decent kick. Now let's see the coverage, and it's fumbled. Levy lost the football.
Now that's a muff.
And this is exactly what Philadelphia would need to have a chance to get back in the game. Still no signal.
Oh, do they need this big time?
And somehow the 49ers come up with the football.
They can't catch a break.
Especially when they need one. 10 minutes left in the third quarter. San Francisco 24, Philadelphia 6. Remaining in the third quarter, the 49ers have the football at their own 21-yard line. San Francisco leading Philadelphia 24-6. Steve Young leading the league, and he picks up about 6, tackled by James Willis.
Steve got only his 5th interception of the season here tonight. When you can run the football as well as the 49ers can, particularly in their kind of offense, you can pretty much dictate percentage of completion, and Steve is right up there, passing at nearly 67%.
It's such a different offensive line with the 2 wide bodies at guard in Ray Brown and Kevin Gogan.
First, about a yard shy of the first down, close to the 30-yard line. 3rd and 1 upcoming.
There's Gogan. Frank referred to him as a following a house. I think it's more along the lines of maybe a small apartment building. 6'7", 330 pounds. Ray Brown, 6'5", 315. Bob McKittrick, their offensive line coach, who's been the guru of the 49ers offensive line for many moons. But this is a smash-mouth group. This is a root you off the line of scrimmage offensive line.
Third and a short 2. Yard and a half. Kirby, room to roam, and Terry Kirby, who Steve Mariucci refers to as 1A. You've got Garrison Hurst as number 1, and Terry is 1A. Came over from the Dolphins last year and filling a role. There he is. The Niners without that Roger Craig type of back, but you've got Hurst doing his thing and Kirby doing what they've had in years.
And Kirby is a good running back out of the backfield and an excellent receiver. He came up as a rookie with the Dolphins a few years ago. 75 receptions as a receiver, nearly 400 yards rushing for them as a rookie, and he just didn't fit in down there, but he certainly fits in here with the 49ers.
William Floyd to the 37. Floyd carrying the ball a little bit less this year and blocking a whole lot more. Niner running game over the past few games, and there it is, rushing over the last 5 games. 837 yards, and that's the most over a 5-game span in 9 seasons.
And it works out just a little over 165 yards a game, and that's pretty impressive.
And tonight, those are pretty average numbers, routine numbers, but they're getting the job done effectively. And the defense has scored a touchdown, and their special teams have scored a touchdown. They lead by 18. Young avoids the sack. And then throws, and really paying the price and taking a shot was Mark Harris. Brian Dawkins upends him. And it's 4th down. Mike Mamula put the pressure on Young that time.
Mamula came close, came around the corner, tried to close it in and get close to Steve Young, and like so many guys, only got a hand on him but didn't knock him down.
Harris totally unaware of Dawkins. Harris not that much playing time, filling in for the injured Owens on the practice squad a year ago,
and only playing tonight because Owaizake was hurt. 3rd down and 7. Young, a screen. Kirby looking for that first down, has it before he's bumped out of bounds. On the 3rd and 7, they convert. Matt Stevens runs them out, but they move the chains.
When he got good blocks out front, Ray Brown is out there. Chris Dahlman, the center, got up limping a little bit. You see him kind of favoring a leg on his way back to the huddle. These guys are big, but they're athletic. They can run as well. That's just as they have always done. A well-timed and a well-executed screen. There's the block by Ray Brown.
What a mass of humanity out front.
Oh, geez. Look at Gogan all the way down. Gogan's 15 yards downfield.
From the 47-yard line. Hurst. The 49ers so dominant right now. You know, there's 21 minutes to play, but it's almost as if they're running out the clock at this point.
That's right, Al. That's a good observation. You talk about workmanlike, businesslike, and methodical. These guys, and of course, there's Tom Rathman, their running back coach, and boy, how many wonderful years did he have for the 49ers? Cornhusker. But this is a group of professionals that right now are just in their office, and they're taking care of business.
2nd down and 7. And the CEO is Steve Young, and they run a reverse to Chuck Levy, taking the handoff from Garrison Hurst. And Levy is tackled at the 48-yard line.
Trying to utilize the speed of Levy we've talked about all night. That time, defense staying at home where they belong. Gets a couple of yards out of it.
3rd down and 5 upcoming.
Good-looking play. That's Philadelphia reading it all the way.
Good job. Brett Hall is just having one sensational year at defensive tackle for the Eagles.
3rd down and 5 now from the 48-yard line. Young over the middle. Oh, and reaching for it was Brent Jones, and just off his fingertips.
And a rare look at a not very good pass by Steve Young. He had Brent Jones wide open and overthrew it.
Well, you wonder maybe the timing between the two of them. Jones playing, coming back from having a couple of fractures in the fibula, the non-weight-bearing bone in his right leg, and maybe he slowed up just a little bit. It's hard to say.
The two of them roommates on the road, Young and Jones.
What an effort by Brent.
And good pals, and that's putting your good pal in jeopardy when he has to lay out like that over the middle. Thompson. They let it go, and it bounces into the end zone. Young saying before the game, he and Jones are so old, they feel like Mathau and Klugman.
Yeah, well, every couple should be as odd and as productive as those two.
Real footage tonight provided by Goodyear as you look down upon Veterans Stadium in South Philadelphia, where the Eagles are trailing 24-6. San Francisco on top. Philadelphia starts this drive from the 20-yard line with 5:09 to go in the third, and Detmer coming to the left side and picking up the first down on the catch by Irving Fryer, tackled by Darnell Walker. Niners tonight, 4 sacks, all of them coming in the second quarter. Kevin Green there was the 10th of Stubblefield's season, and a few moments later, number 11 for Dana. And then Chris Dolman wrapped it up with that sack of Detmer. 4 sacks for the Niners tonight, all in the second period.
And the 49ers, knowing that they were going to have a pretty good run at the quarterback tonight, the Eagles gave up 31 sacks coming into the game. Their offensive line is in bad shape. And this is the best thing the Eagles can do, is keep it on the ground. There's Joe Panos. Normally their starting left guard, and you can see the damage there to his left eye. Had surgery on that earlier this week to repair a retina, and he'll be back in a couple weeks. But Bubba Miller, in his absence, is really struggling at left guard. But who wouldn't? First start ever, having to start against a guy like Dana Stubblefield.
Second down and 7. And you're looking at a Niner defensive line. 4 sacks tonight, minus 2 starters. Detmer throws, and McDonald swats it down with his left arm.
I'll say this for Bubba, Frank. First game I ever started in the National Football League, I had to start across from Bob Lilly, the Hall of Famer of the Dallas Cowboys, and he did to me exactly what Stubblefield's doing to Bubba. He roughed me up just as bad as Bubba's having it tonight.
Detmer thrown right into the double coverage. McDonald playing center field, and Bob Lilly probably did a pretty good job on you in your second and third. Your team.
Yeah. No, thankfully he retired.
he spared me. Third and 7, 4-man rush. And with good coverage in the secondary, Detmer gets taken down for a 5th sack. That's Chris Dolman, the first guy in there. Green and Bryant are also in the neighborhood, scavenging.
Well, this is like a group of guys fighting over the drumsticks on the Thanksgiving turkey. Who got there first? Did Dolman or Green, Bryant? I mean, these guys are scavenging right now.
They'll argue about this one on the way home. Philadelphia forced into the passing mode, and we could see a lot more.
Tom Hutton, the left-footed punter. That's a short, high kick. That goes out of bounds near the 25-yard line in that neighborhood. And San Francisco will get it back. 3:19 left in the third. The Niners in control by 18.
It's one this weekend. It's been kind of tough with Penn State losing to Michigan. Now the Eagles struggling with the 49ers.
Did Penn State lose to Michigan?
I heard they did.
From the 24-yard line, this is Hurst up to the 30. Close game?
Relatively, right up until kickoff.
About like this one, right?
Kind of like this one. Kind of like this one.
3 minutes left in the third. The 49ers methodically in pursuit now of a 9th consecutive victory after the opening loss. And of course the skeptics will still say all of the wins outside of the Dallas game came against the NFC West. And that's Garrison Hurst picking up the first down. 2 wins against Atlanta, 2 against New Orleans, 2 against St. Louis, 1 over Carolina on a Monday night, and then a win last week against Dallas.
Carolina coming up next week, and a win tonight, a win over Carolina, and they have locked up the division. That's hard to believe.
This looks like another productive trip into the NFC East with this game against the Eagles, and I'll admit to being surprised. I thought Philadelphia was going to play a much better football game than this tonight. With their backs to the wall, knowing what they faced if they lost this game, I thought they'd play a lot better.
Garrison Hurst taken down. And Ray Rhodes, a picture of intensity. You know, if you don't know Ray Rhodes and you look at him, you think, you know, does he ever smile? We asked him about 6 or 7 weeks ago, does any comedian make you laugh out loud? He had an extensive list led by Chris Rock and Richard Pryor. And of course, occasionally they've been known to, like, I tell you what, Ray in his press conferences, occasionally he can make Chris Rock and Richard Pryor look like Mr. Rogers.
There are times that Ray is earthy.
Yes, there are.
But this is kind of an earthy game.
And he will be relatively earthy after the game as Garrison Hurst takes it up to the 39.
In Ray's defense, I think a lot of people have this perception that he's just like 1 millimeter away from an eruption or an explosion. Ray is much more in control of his emotions than I think a lot of people think. Unfortunately, Monday Night Football not his favorite venue, as he's working on 0-5. But you know, Ray can't stand it when his players don't answer a challenge. And that's what's upsetting to him about this football team. He thought they spit it out last week, and now they're in the process of doing it again. They're genuinely disappointed in him, Dan.
Yeah. 3rd and 8. Mamula can't get the sack, and Young has to flip it away. 4th down.
This is a Ray Rhodes football team. Only 4 players on this roster that were here before Ray came.
And there's a flag down, and Young is going to contend he was out of the pocket, and it shouldn't be grounding. And the officials will confer, and they may wave this one off. Bill Carolla,
There is no infraction on the play. The quarterback out of the pocket is allowed to throw the ball away as long as he gets it near the line of scrimmage. 4th down.
Steve over there lobbying for enforcement of the proper rules.
And he won it. He won that argument.
And he's well beyond the tackle before he delivers it.
Yeah. He was outside, but maybe only a step or so.
Well, Steve Young is a guy, well, he's passed the bar exam. He's a lawyer. And won his case.
Will he send him a bill?
$400 an hour. Tommy Thompson to punt. Right kick. Flag down. Near the line of scrimmage.
That hopefully is not against Philadelphia.
Oh, nope, it is.
How many is that on the special teams tonight?
If this came prior to the snap, if this came prior to the kick, rather, the timing of this hold is critical.
Holding number 22 of the receiving team after the kick was in the air. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
Well, Philadelphia keeps possession. If that had been prior to the kick, would have given the Niners a 1st down.
Ball back brought to you by Prudential. No team in the history of the league has held the opposition below 100 yards rushing, below 3.5 yards a rush, and without a rushing TD in 9 consecutive games. But the 49ers are on the verge of doing that, because tonight the Eagles have been limited to 67 yards, but they are slightly over 3.5 yards per carry. From the 27, Detmer has that one knocked back in his face. Dana Stubblefield was the guy who got the hand up, and Detmer, in frustration, kicks the ball back to the official.
I think that's 3 now. Stubblefield has batted away from Detmer. Detmer, again, we talked about it earlier, only 6 feet tall. He has a hard time seeing over these 6'5", 6'6" interior linemen.
Well, Stubblefield realizes he's facing a double team between Everett and Miller, so he just stops, times it, and just relatively easily knocks it down.
2nd and 10. The crowd is chanting either boring or hoying. as Detmer throws, and coming back to make the catch is Turner, but it's next to no gain. They're chanting Hoying because Bobby Hoying, as we mentioned before, is the third-party candidate.
Well, Ray Rhodes told us that I have to play either Detmer or Pete as long as I feel that this team is in contention.
Here's Rodney.
But the moment I feel that we're out of contention, Bobby Hoying is going to play quarterback. If 98 becomes the operative year when the Eagles look like when they're going to get it together, Bobby Hoying is going to get a lot of minutes.
End of 3. Monday Night Football returns after this from our ABC station. Talking about Bobby Hoying, and there he is, the number 3 quarterback, but the quarterback of the future here, second year out of Ohio State. Dan touched on it. As long as you're in contention, you got to go with a veteran, or at least Ray Rhodes wants to go with a veteran, Pete or Detmer. And once they fall out of contention, if they do, look for Hoying as the fourth quarter begins with Detmer launching one down the left sideline. And incomplete. Walker looking for a flag for offensive interference.
Well, the question for Philadelphia then will be, when are they, quote unquote, out of contention? A loss tonight drops them to 4 and 6. Meaning if they wanted to make the playoffs, they're going to have to run the table and win 6 in a row to finish out at 10 and 6. That number would certainly get them in the playoffs, but let's face it, the way this club looks, winning out 6 in a row looks nigh on to impossible.
That was a 3rd and 9, so it's 4th down now, and Tom Hutton sending it in the direction of Levy, who lets it bounce down to the 36-yard line, where the Niners will try to run off more of the clock as they take over again. Is throwing along the sideline in a baseball cap.
And he got up.
Crowd is chanting Hoying, 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 and maybe Stubblefield is too.
He got up and started taking some snaps from center Steve Everett.
Meanwhile, the Niners now with Young having that pass deflected, but it still winds up as a completed pass into the arms of Mark Harris.
When it's going right for you, it goes right.
Richard Dent got a hand on it. Carmen Policy, the president of the 49ers. Ed Bartolo owns the team and the Brain Trust.
Harris catching the wounded duck.
Second down and 5 now from the 40-yard line with Harris in motion. Harrison Hurst gets banged down by Hollis Thomas at the line of scrimmage. No gain, 3rd down. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by the all-new Mazda truck, Pure Truck. Cigna, a business of caring. Miller Lite, now the official beer sponsor of the NFL. And Holiday Inn Hotels, we're making every Holiday Inn as good as the best Holiday Inn. 13:40 to go in the 4th quarter. Garrison Hurst comes out. Brent Jones back in. Young throws. One-hand catch. Great catch made by Terry Kirby. That's as good as catches his brother Wayne, the outfielder, has ever made.
And Young took a big hit. Steve Young very slow to get up, and he's hobbling. That hurt. That hurt Steve Young. There's the shot he takes right there from Michael Zordich, the blitzing strong safety. And Young landed awkwardly, and he was very slow to get up. Or landed right on that left arm and left shoulder and left side all the way down his leg. But
he's using all the play clock too.
Young misses nary a play. Inside handoff. William Floyd gets taken down.
Steve Mariucci.
Loss of 3.
Mariucci calls the head coach calls the plays. Obviously, he's not going to give him a pass play after he limped back into the huddle. Let him hand it off, get himself together. Down a distance now dictates the pass for Steve Young.
Second down, 14 from the 44-yard line.
But at this point in time, the Eagles have to make something happen. You almost assume that Emmett Thomas will become ever more aggressive as he comes after the quarterback.
Steve Young having for him a terrible night, and yet his team handily in front. Terry Kirby picks up about 3 here.
Well, you get off to a good start, guys, when the game opens up with the other team's running back fumbling the ball, and you pick it up and run it in for a touchdown, and it's 7-0, and your offense hasn't even been on the field yet. Merton Hanks picked up the Ricky Waters fumble, and before you could snap your fingers, it's 7-0 San Francisco. And they have not looked back.
There's Hanks. Started the scoring. 3rd down and 10 from the 48-yard line. Corner blitz, and they pick it up. Young is off to the races, has the first down, and runs out of bounds.
You know, it's kind of a simple game sometimes. You blitz from the one corner, and I'll just run over to the other corner.
It is with number 8. What another dimension he brings to this game. Still has a great speed. And when you easy to read that he can pick up the first down, he just brings it in and picks up the yardage. It makes it look so simple.
It's so simple, Frank. When you blitz from the one corner, you can't lose contain on the other corner. An inside pass rush by Richard Dent on that side, it's caved in. You know if he's going to be flushed, he's going to be flushed away from the blitz. You can't dare risk lose contain to that side. That's so fundamental. It's elementary.
First down from the 39-yard line. Floyd picks up a couple. This weekend, Sunday night, there's the ESPN confrontation coming your way at Eastern and 5 Pacific from San Diego. And we'll see them the following week against Denver, against San Diego, and then we'll be in Miami on Monday night with the Buffalo Bills trying to right now in a tie with the Jets and New England atop the AFC East.
Dana resting on his laurels.
2nd and 8 from the 37-yard line. First to the 36.
It has really been a pretty good effort by the Eagles defensively tonight, with the exception of a couple mistakes and a couple blown coverages. But they have, you saw the rating for Steve Young. He has not had a good night. Garrison Hurst is rushing the ball way below his average. Ray Rhodes, when he looks at what went wrong tonight, I don't think he'll start with his defensive football team. They've played well enough to keep them in this ball game.
Yeah, on a night when Young is averaging 4.5 yards a pass, and Hurst is averaging only 3.3 on the ground. 3rd down and 7.
It came in averaging 4.5.
And that is caught, and breaking the tackle was Owens. And by so doing, he picks up the first down.
Good blitz pickup on the part of the 49ers, too. The Eagles coming with corner blitz, and they picked it up beautifully. And Owens with a good read with Steve Young.
And remember, Owens missed some time. He had a concussion. He was a little spacey over on the sideline. Back in the lineup for the 49ers, but they're really short of wide receivers.
1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. Young, and down he goes in the arms of Darian Connor.
Eagles coming with the blitz almost every play, looking for the turnover, the defensive play that'll get them possession.
Well, that's just a blow on the right side for the 49ers. Kirk Strafford and the running back to that side, I think William Floyd. Watch them up to the right side. They're going to both block the same guy. Strafford and Floyd are out to the outside, and they just release Darian Connor. That's a blow. By that look right there, it looks like Kirk Strafford should have stayed inside. Steve Young directing traffic a little after the fact.
2nd and 17. Young hits Floyd, and he gets taken down immediately by James Darling, the rookie out of Washington State. Well, the 49ers on the verge now of a 9th straight win. You know, you think about this team too. You lose Jerry Rice. Marquez Pope, the starting corner, has been out much of the season. There's A look at Ken Norton. Harris Barton, who'd be a starting tackle, is on injured reserve. Bryant Young missing tonight's game. Jesse Sapolo is also hurt.
We saw them in preseason now, Dan. They were a mess. Oh, their offensive line was non-existent.
3rd and 16. Young, at the age of 36, as nimble as ever. Doesn't get the first down, but does avoid the sack, and he's out of bounds at about the 26-yard line.
Tackling terms, they call it wrapping up.
He changes the way you have to play defense, though. You have got to have somebody there for containment with him. Still, after he's been around all these years, he still has the speed, the maneuverability, just that extra dimension at that quarterback spot.
Anderson going for what, 17 in a row?
Right. 44-yarder for the long time he was here the last couple of years. And Gary's kick is no good. So that streak is over. And the Eagles get it back with 6:49 left in the fourth. San Francisco up by 18. And Hoying coming in. Well, what's left of the crowd in Philadelphia excited now because Bobby Hoying comes in to play quarterback. He's taken one snap in his career to this point last year on a Monday night, and he was sacked. Snap number 2 is a handoff to Ricky Waters, who picks up 2 yards.
And Dana Stubblefield and company are surely thinking, oh good, a new set of drumsticks.
Licking their chops. Hoying, a 3rd-round pick last year out of Ohio State, had a great career at Ohio State. Set school records for completions, touchdowns, 57 of them. But this is not Ohio State.
He was the 2nd quarterback chosen in the draft in '96, behind only Tony Banks of the Rams.
And we got to look at Rodney Peete on the sidelines, and you have to wonder what's going through his mind. Overlooked.
2nd down and 8. Hoying gets here. Dana with a hat trick.
There's one drumstick. He's only got one left.
Flag goes down after the play.
A career night for Dana Stubblefield. Whether that sack stands or not.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 96. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Darrell Price.
Did he come in late?
Well, yes, he
Hoying was down.
Yeah, so what's the official score here? Does Stubblefield get his sack?
He does get his sack.
Yeah,
if the play counts. The penalty was enforced from the spot following the sack, so it does count as a Stubblefield sack.
There's the hit right there. Actually just pulled his neck back.
From the 46 through the hands of Kevin Turner, an incomplete 2nd down.
Didn't do the penalty on Darrell Price, was just the aggressive way he pulled his head back. What a night for Dana Stubblefield.
49ers go home. And again, if they defeat Carolina next week, they will have clinched the NFC West with 5 games to play as Ian Beckles, who'd been dinged coming into the game, hobbles off.
Yeah, Beckles has a sprained foot, and there was some question during the week whether or not he was even going to be able to play for the Eagles. He toughed it out to this point. Mike Sandowski takes his place at right guard.
2nd and 10, deep drop. Pass is pulled in at the 36-yard line by Irving Fryer. First down.
A little something on that, on Hoying's part. About a 25-yard turn in. Takes a little zip on it.
Well, Bobby Hoying used to be able to play pitch and catch in Columbus with a guy named Joey Galloway. So he's used to throwing at the big-time receivers.
From the 36 on first down after an 18-yard gain. Juggled, bobbled, dropped. Kevin Turner couldn't hold on. Ken Norton helped dislodge it. 2nd down.
Jim Norton leveled Kevin Turner. You don't want to get around number 51 across the middle. He would have hurting on you.
He put the ball right there. Turner
then
certainly should have caught it.
Took the pace off it. Threw the ball nicely.
Everett and Bubba Miller both double teaming Dana Stubblefield, who went for the block again. Turner's got to catch that.
2nd and 10 from the 36-yard line. And it will be 3rd down and 10. Darrell Price knocking Boying to the turf.
And Darrell Price just slanting to the inside, and he comes through clean. No help for the quarterback there.
No, they're just laying their ears back now, coming. No respect for the draw, the run. They're just coming after the sack.
Third down 10. This has been a scoreless second half. And Boying, oh no, goes down, and that one will be credited to Junior Bryant. And how appropriate is it that Bryant Young can't play and his replacement is Junior Bryant?
Junior Bryant. And there is the awesome Bryant Young. And you're right. It's how can Bryant's replacement be named Junior Bryant? It's a good thing there are no Junior Danas around there.
Junior Stubblefield.
That's
what a well-coordinated defense.
That's more trouble than anybody needs.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to throw the ball to somebody. There just was nobody open. Good coverage. Again, forcing a sack.
4th down and 18. Time. Look out, another sack.
Oh, and Kevin Green can't believe it. Dana Stubblefield beat him there.
Yep. Well, Green flushed him out of the pocket. Stubblefield gets the sack.
He does.
Kevin Green is bearing down on him, thinking he's mine. And Dana Stubblefield gets there at the last second and gets number 4
and 13 for the season.
Oh.
Week for the Bills against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Rodney Peete on the bench. Bobby Hoying.
I guess the official score gave a half a sack to Stubblefield and a half a sack to Kevin Green. Although it looked to me like it was all Stubblefield's sack. And so officially he's got 3.5 tonight, but that might be changed as the folks at the league look at that during the course of the week.
Probably will be. Very often they'll look at the films or the tapes and change it. Regardless, he is the league leader, is Dana Stubblefield in sacks, but the assist goes to Kevin. Well, been a pretty ugly week for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to end here with a loss unless some miracle ensues. The 49ers lead by 18 from the 49. Garrison Hurst. Week began for the Eagles after that loss to Arizona. A couple of days later they came home and the center Steve Everett was arrested, charged with driving while intoxicated and possession of drug paraphernalia. He'll be fined by the team but not suspended, and then the week will end with this desultory performance tonight.
And then Ray Rhodes has an awful lot of decision-making to do this coming week in terms of, does he get into personnel changes? How does he begin to address the remaining 6 games of this season, but where they go next year? And of course it's going to start with the quarterback position, who were harassed by this guy tonight.
Yep, if there's a player of the game, there he is, Dana Stubblefield. Now leading the league in sacks, not only with 3.5 sacks tonight, which will probably become officially 4, but a couple of pass knockdowns, clogging up the middle.
Hey, knock it out, Grog. Get out of here.
It's a wild world down there on the field,
especially with
you can
the
hear
mics
from that audio. Yeah, and again, this was all done tonight by Dana Stubblefield being the center of attention because of Bryant Young sitting this game out. The third game that Young has been on the sideline, and Dana Stubblefield has taken that opportunity to shine.
It's going to be interesting, too, to follow Ray Rhodes. He's never been in this position as a head coach. He's 10-6 his first 2 years, and it's going to be very difficult for Ray Rhodes to get through this season.
Tommy Johnson kicks. Fair catch is called for at the 19-yard line by Freddie Solomon with 3:09 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Ray, one of the most emotional coaches around. He sleeps very little, and he will tell you that he just can't. Even when he wins, he can't because he's thinking about the next week.
Well, he's one of our favorites. I know that. I admire him greatly. I like the way he does his business. I like the way he approaches the game. I like the way he feels about the game with great passion.
I'll see him go through this. Before, he's one of the few coaches I've known in this game that can actually will a team to play better than they should play.
From the 19-yard line, Bobby Hoying throws one-handed by Irving Pryor, who runs around Ron Woodson, and then is forced out by Darnell Walker. 3 minutes left in the fourth.
A little highlight film action by Irving. Ball well out in front of Irving, and he stabs it with one hand, juggles it a little bit, and ultimately controls it.
7 catches tonight for Irving and 120 yards.
Takes him over 700 career receptions.
Look at that. That's pretty good work by a guy who's been doing pretty good work for a long time.
He's one Eagle you never have to worry about whether he'll get 100% or not. It's always more.
From the 41-yard line. Hoying.
Irving
out of bounds.
Irving's so old, he played for Nebraska when it was still a territory.
In his 14th year.
He was a wingback at Nebraska. Played there with Turner Gill. Mike Rozier was there at the time.
He was wasn't Irving the first player taken in the draft?
By the New England Patriots?
Yeah. Where he played with Michael Timpson.
Numero uno.
And Timpson became available a year ago with this year from the Chicago Bears. It was Irving Pryor who recommended they bring him here.
2nd and 10. And that's caught, taken by Irving over the middle, up to the 46-yard line. Eagles on the verge of going to a 4-6 record, but that doesn't mean you're out of the playoffs. In fact, since 1990, 5 teams have gone to the playoffs after starting 4-6, including last year's Jaguars, who made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. Detroit did it in '95 with a tremendous finish, and then came in here and were annihilated by the Eagles in a wild card game.
One of the few people remaining at the vet has decided to run out on the field, and as a reward for his little trip, he'll now get to go to jail. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
And he'll ask for Steve Young to represent him.
And here comes Moron number 2 out onto the field. I'm sure that the jails here in Philadelphia are more than capable of handling a surplus. And we will not show you. No use giving these guys what they want. This guy won't leave the field, so they're having to come out with the security people.
He has surrendered. The Eagles will go to Baltimore to face the Ravens, who were destroyed last night at Pittsburgh. In fact, they're going to take the train down there. And the Niners fly home after the game and meet the Panthers in San Francisco next Sunday. And that is tipped and incomplete off the hands of Irving Pryor. And it will be 4th down and 5 as we approach the 2-minute warning.
And they came with the blitz that time, giving Hoying a lot of different looks, and again pressure by Dolman and the group up front. Hoying knocked over backwards.
by Marvin Washington. 4th down and 5 now from the 46-yard line. And that's a 1st down as Irving Fryar makes the catch and is wrapped up by Tim McDonald at the 42-yard line. And we have come to the 2-minute warning in Philadelphia. The Niners that much time away from a 9th consecutive victory.
Debbie's not up.
You can cast your Pro Bowl ballot for your favorite players online. Go to the Pro Bowl balloting area now at Team NFL in America online, keyword ABC Sports. And you can vote your favorites to the Pro Bowl, which we will cover on ABC on the 1st of February.
Honolulu,
1998.
Isn't favorite stopping spots in the world?
Isn't Tuesday Veterans Day?
Tuesday is Veterans Day.
Pretty appropriate that the 49ers, one of the oldest teams in the league, are still playing now that we've moved into Veterans Day here on the East Coast. We've moved past midnight.
They lead the league in players, what, at 32 and over?
Salute all of our veterans here in America. Rightfully so.
From Veterans Stadium.
From Veterans Stadium.
Where we've had a scoreless second half.
Of course, we'll go to Denver later this month for the Mile High salute.
That's right. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be in Denver. Oakland against Denver. And then we have a real beauty coming up on December 1st. Green Bay at Minnesota on a Monday night. Coin throws, and Ricky Waters was the intended receiver. And there's another guy. We were talking about Ray Rhodes and what do you do now and how do you play out the year. Waters is a free agent at the end of the year. And he comes with, let's face it, he's great on the field, but he comes with a lot of baggage. And it's not unanimous
look
in
at
this
this
organization as you look at Stubblefield.
Ooh, and this is not good.
Well, as they check out Dana, just to finish up on Waters, they have a big decision to make about whether they want to retain him or not.
Dana Stubblefield in pursuit down the line of scrimmage. I think he got cut by one of the Eagles who came back in and hit him there in the left leg.
And that's where they're looking, with the left knee.
All right, take a look there. Right, the guy who's halfway on the right side of your screen, right there, the cut. I think that's Bubba Miller who comes back in and puts a block on Stubblefield.
And it didn't appear to be too bad, and at least he's able to walk.
I don't think Dana ever saw it coming. He was looking. That's a legal block.
More of a whiplash than being caught with the weight on his left leg.
I'm sure Dana didn't appreciate being hit below the waist, but I'm sure Bubba hasn't appreciated much about tonight either.
So shaken up. Stubblefield goes to the sideline. It's 2nd down and 10 at the 41-yard line. Unabated, Chris Dolman was on his way to the quarterback and left the flag.
Offsides, unabated to the quarterback, number 56 defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Funny, we juxtaposed Stubblefield with Hoying before. There was some talk before the season. You never know how close to fruition it came that, I mean, Detmer, not Hoying, that the 49ers and Eagles were considering a deal as Hoying throws and That's caught. Ken Norton makes the tackle at the 28-yard line, where Detmer would have gone to San Francisco as Steve Young's backup, and Stubblefield would have come to Philadelphia. First and 10 at the 28-yard line. Going to Waters. And Ricky takes it to the 13-yard line.
Well, the thing to keep in mind there, Al, is that Dana Stubblefield didn't have games like this last year. You know, he went to a couple Pro Bowls in '94 and '95, but then last year he didn't make the Pro Bowl team. He didn't really have a very good year, overshadowed by Bryant Young.
Bryant Young with 11.5 sacks a year ago, a great year.
And Stubblefield has rededicated himself to this game, and talked earlier about how he's in excellent shape and reduced body fat, and he has really tried to play up to the standard set by Bryant Young. Bryant Young, one of those players that makes everybody around him better.
This is not good news for the 49ers. They're icing and wrapping the left knee of Dana Stubblefield.
Well, hopefully he just landed on it as a bruise.
Eagles have just used their final timeout.
Doesn't look to be in a great deal of pain or anything.
He was able to walk off under his own power. First down from the 13. Waters makes the catch. Bounced out of bounds by McDonald at the 6-yard line.
And right now it's a question of pride with this 49er defensive unit. You can tell right there by the way that Tim McDonald took on Ricky Waters. They'd like to keep the Eagles out of the end zone.
San Francisco has already held 3 opponents this year to single figures in points, including one shutout a couple of weeks ago at New Orleans. Second down and 3 from the 7-yard line. And Hoying guns it into the end zone to a wide open Chad Lewis. .58 minutes and 46 seconds into the game. That's Chad Lewis's 3rd touchdown of the season.
And that's a blown coverage by the 49ers.
Absolutely. The free agent from BYU.
He's the guy who caught that pass at the end of the game to knock off Dallas 3 weeks ago. And the Eagles will go for 2, trailing by a score of 24-12. Two-point conversion is thrown behind Solomon. And now the Eagles still trail by 12 as we await their onside kick.
The Eagles have some experience with onside kicks. Arizona tried one last year, and Willie Clark ran it back for a touchdown.
In last week's game, right after the Cardinals had taken the lead, Bernard Wilson intercepting Rodney Peete on the first drive, and then they tried to recover an onside kick, and Clark ran it back in, but the Eagles still wound up going down to a defeat.
What's your take on the starting quarterback for the Eagles next week at Baltimore?
Well, that's Birdman. I think Birdman's going to make the call.
I think Ron Jaworski.
Jaws is here tonight. He might enlist. There's Harris Barton. Tremendous 49er offensive lineman over the years. Really frustrated that his knee hasn't come around and that he was forced onto the injured reserve. It just won't come around. And another guy with a handful of Super Bowl rings is Jesse Spolu, guard, center, and
kind of talked him into coming back this year. They got short of offensive linemen. We talked about it earlier during the preseason. They got Jesse Spolu to come back.
So now Bonio with the onside kick. Remember, it has to travel at least 10 yards before the Eagles can recover it. And it is Terry Kirby as they put some of the good hands people out there. The 49er running back recovers at the 44-yard line, and now San Francisco with 2 plays can run out the clock. And the 49ers will now go a 10th consecutive game without allowing a rushing touchdown, and they will break that other record we spoke of, holding their opponents on the ground to under 100 yards, under 3.5 yards per carry, and without a touchdown. And there it is, throwing out their opener from week 2 to tonight's game. An amazing defensive performance by the 49ers.
No longer when you think of San Francisco does offense, is that the first thing that jumps into your head.
Well, for years they've had a better defensive unit than they've been given credit for, but they've just been overshadowed by a tremendous offense, and the way the offense was conceived and manifest by Joe Montana, by Steve Young, by Roger Craig, by Dwight Clark, and all of the rest, that they've always overlooked the defensive unit.
They've always had a good defensive team over the years, particularly their Super Bowl teams. You go back and look at them, they're all in single digits defensively. And interesting for us, if we look down our schedule on December the 15th, we will have Denver and San Francisco. Denver and San Francisco both 9-1 now with the 2 best records in the game,
which is beginning to look like a potential Super Bowl preview, though the Packers and Vikings would probably dispute that at this point.
Well, a tremendous night for that guy, Dana Stubblefield. 3.5 sacks, a couple batted balls, and now a question mark surrounding the status of his left knee as the Niners get ready to take this long trip against the headwinds back to the West Coast. These guys logs the miles, don't they?
The Niners go to a record of 9-1 as they win it, and we'll wrap it up in a moment from Philadelphia. 24-12 the final.